Okay, so far in this persuasion class, we've been covering just the things to friggin' think about before you enter the conversation. But I hope you see that this applies to your team, or it applies to persuading other people to buy. It applies to teaching kids. It's all just being a more thoughtful adult before we have our conversations, or before we make our offers from stage or from video. Before you do anything, think through all those elements before. And look, I've just done this so long, what was it? I had 8 of these things. I've done this so long that most of these come to me pretty readily. I mean, as we put together this chart for this course here today, I just sat down and wrote all these out. And I wrote them all out pretty much from just memory because I've done it so many times. I don't get on a stage before thinking through all these things. I don't sell something before thinking about all these things. I don't ask my wife to go on a specific vacation to a specific place without thinking through these things. Oh, she'd say yes to pretty much any vacation. I'm just saying I'm pretty thoughtful about this. I thought through all of these things when I used to work at corporate America and I'd ask for a raise. I mean, I've been pretty intentional about all of this throughout most of my life, and I would argue it's one of the reasons I got to become high performing in my particular field of interest. And I hope that you will apply these as well. You deserve it, and you know that you probably need it. Be more thoughtful and strategic. You'll win more often. Let me say it again. Be more thoughtful and strategic, and you will win more often. Okay, with that, let's move into the actual conversation and then what to do after the conversation. Now, here's the deal. As I go through this conversation, I know that conversations don't always flow A, B, A, B, A, B, right? They're more dyadic than that, and they're more sort of flexible. But what I want to do is conceptually share with you a great order for you to make your argumentation, even if it doesn't go in this order. These are the elements that should be there anyway, but if you can kind of guide yourself in this direction, you'll see that you become more persuasive than if you go in other directions, okay? So I'm actually going to go into a persuasive situation. That persuasive situation could be a negotiation, a sale, a request that you're making from somebody. I don't know where it is, so please reconnect with your original performance or persuasion situation you thought of at the beginning of this class, okay? Think of that, and then we'll jump in, okay? So think of your situation, and then let's talk about what the conversation goes like. Now, most of you guys know I have my master's degree in organizational communication, so I like to think of sort of the flow and all the other things that happen non-verbally, all the things that happen in advance of a relationship, right? Because there's a lot of pre-selling that can happen before persuasion. Before we even get into a conversation, if you're trying to persuade your spouse to do something and you have already convinced all of his friends to do it, this conversation is going to be easier than I'll outline here, right? There is social context to these conversations. But this is not a class right now in sociology, and I'm not going to go into much of that. Instead, I'm going to go right into that dyadic relationship, you and another person, and I want you to think about how are you going to bring up what you want? Just take a moment. How are you going to bring up what you want? Most people shout out what they want to the other person, and that's never the answer. Most people start with the offer. That's not the answer. Most people start with what they want. That's not the answer. So how do you actually go about real persuasion at the mastery level? First, we begin with making an observation. Not a request, not an offer, not a demand, not a threat, not a complaint, not a divorce, okay? It's an observation. I don't ever want you to make a suggestion or an offer at first. I'd rather you kind of make it, even though you've done all this work to be intelligent and thoughtful, it'd be even better if you kind of stumbled in and it didn't seem like you were trying to persuade. See, if you sit something down and go, I am now going to persuade you on how to, and they're going to be like, dude, what? Instead, I want you to make a casual observation that's going to open up the gate of the conversation instead of going right for the throat, right? Too many people go right for the throat, right for the thing, and they struggle. I'd love you say, have you noticed? Have you seen that? Have you heard? I was thinking, lately I've been seeing a lot of That's what I mean, starting with an observation, not the request. So give it context. If I'm going to tell, I know I share this story at High Performance Academy, so I won't go into this particular one, but if I'm going to share with somebody the idea of like, let's clean out our dorm room, I'm not going to go and just say, this dorm room stinks, clean it up. I'm going to start with a bigger thing. Have you noticed that some of the girls down the hall aren't coming into our room anymore? I'm not even talking about the dirty pizza boxes, right? Benefit extension, girls. That's a meme, that's scary. Okay, so I want you to observe something. We're having a good time today, right? I want you to observe something and not request something. What can you notice? And don't be attached to it. Don't be like, the girls aren't coming into our room anymore because things. It's like, have you noticed? The girls aren't coming. Almost make it a mystery. Have you noticed all these electric cars going around lately? What do you think about that? Even though I know in my mind, I want wife to let me buy Tesla. I'm not going to start going, what, Tesla? No. We're not 6-year-olds, okay? That's how they communicate. You got to glide into persuasion. Observe something and let them, after you observe it, listen, after you observe it, don't make the offer, don't make the request, just observe something and then ask people what they think about it. Ask questions related to the observation that you had. This is really advanced if those of you have ever worked with, let's say, high-stakes negotiation before. I mean, stuff where it's really on the line. Many of you guys know I've coached and worked with and interviewed some of the highest level negotiators in the world. I mean, guys who would never share stuff on a podcast with me. I mean, really intense stuff who I've worked with, who will often talk about this. When they're talking, when they want somebody in a hostage situation, as an example, they won't just go, they won't go right to the offer. If you don't come out, we will come in there and shoot you. And then go find all your family and shoot them too. That's not where they begin, right? That's not how you negotiate with somebody. You observe. If you're talking in this situation, and this is a true story of one of my coaching clients who worked in hostage negotiation in a really scary situation. He was working with somebody, I'll make up a name, but let's call the person, the terrorist, that person's name, Dave, okay? He didn't say, Dave, you're gonna die today. He didn't say, Dave, let all those people out today. When he began, literally the beginning of the conversation, when he first got the terrorist on the phone, he said, and it was his turn, he goes, hey Dave, have you noticed all the commotion out here? What a brilliant entrance into that situation. Have you noticed all the commotion out here? There's no judgment to it. There's no offer. There's no request. It's opening the gate, starting with an observation, and then we're going to pull them deeper into the conversation. What I want you to start thinking about is think of persuasion like a big funnel. Okay? Our job is to get someone into that first gate or that first level so that we can get tighter down into the offer or the request. But I want you always want to think about high level, really high level. Okay? Observe something. Remember, I didn't observe the pizza box on the floor in the dorm and complain about it to my roommate to get him clean. I observed something way bigger. People not even in the room, right? Other people. Have you noticed the girls aren't coming around anymore? Whoa. What do you think about that? Why might not they be coming around? What do you think's going on? And that's going to open up the conversation. Now, you might know where you're going to take that, but they might not know. So that's where observe and then say, what do you think of that? What are you seeing? What are you feeling? Why do you think it's like that? Do you like that? Do you not like that? I tend to avoid value judgments in some persuasion, like, do you like that or not like that? That's a value judgment. You're asking that question from someone else. I try to keep it pretty open and generic. But if I'm saying, have you noticed all these electric cars around? What do you think about those? And whatever that conversation, whatever that question is, I'm going to ask more questions to elicit their feelings about it until I strike one that is positive. Let me say that again. Ask more questions. I told you this is advanced. Ask more questions until one of the questions you ask it elicits a positive response. There is a value judgment, right? So if I say, you notice all these electric cars go around? And say, I don't like them. I say, there's a lot of them. Why do you think people might like them? And now that person, I took from him, I don't like it, negative judgment. I didn't even address it. I didn't say, well, why don't you like it? When I get something like that, I'm like, wow, you took a junior varsity course where you learned to ask why a bunch. Congratulations. Now you are at the same freshman level as everybody else in college. Let's go advanced. Advanced is skipping over the negative whys to find the positive why that we can now explore deeper so that they make the argument for why before you even have to. There's this old thing in copywriting, as an example, in my industry. I learned it from Joe Polish, who talks the story about Gary Halbert, and how a lot of copywriters say, enter the conversation in your prospect's mind. And I always think that's good advice, but I also laugh at it because there is no conversation in most people's heads. I mean, they really are. Most people are truly kind of like cat brain. They just want to, what? They're not thinking about anything. They're not thinking about anything. There's no conversation to enter. They're not thinking about anything until you cue it. Then you cue it, then they're thinking. Now, I know that sounds dismissive of people. It doesn't mean that they haven't had the conversation, but if someone's going throughout the day, the conversation in their head is usually the next task. We need to go bigger than that. So I'm not discounting the idea of entering people's conversation, but most often the conversation in their head is the most immediate thing in front of them. Get to work, feed belly, take care of family tonight, pick up the things on the way home. That's not the conversation I necessarily want to enter. Instead, I like to open up the gate and start making them consider something. Then, by the questions, help them start making the case for me by asking a question that elicits a positive emotion, response, or anticipatory sort of thing. So, as an example, have you noticed all these electric cars around here? Yeah, I hate them. Huh. Instead of going, why do you hate them? Huh. Well, why do you think all these people have them? Must be something cool about them. And what have you heard? Well, I heard they're more cost effective. Oh, well, why else do you think all these other things? Well, I think my neighbor got them because they're cool right now. I'm like, you think they're cool? Yeah, well, I don't think they're as cool. But why do other people think they're cool? Well, I heard it goes a little faster. And, okay, just opening that conversation, asking those questions, getting more and more and more positive things. They're making the case. And you know what? When someone starts making a positive case for something, we know from scientific evaluations in communication that people start moving away from their belief about the negative side of it. Just by talking about something that's positive to it, they tend to release their grip on the negative. And now we're opening them up into the conversation. So observe, ask questions, okay? Same thing. In selling, you might do the exact same thing. In selling, whether I'm selling the Tesla, or I'm selling homework, or I'm selling the team to do something, I'm going to say, if I want my team to make a big pivot towards some new marketing angle, I don't go in there and go, we have to do this, and this, and go, hey, have you seen this person doing this? What do you think about that? That's how I begin the conversation. And my team's sitting there. They could tell you that's how I do. I'm like, have you seen this guy doing this? What do you think about doing something like that? Should we try something like that? Why do you think that works? And that's getting them to make the argument instead of me making the argument. If you studied my other masterclass on leadership, you heard me say the 5 most powerful words in all of leadership are people support what they create. That's it. That's the most powerful leadership connotation in the world. I have a book coming out on that. People support what they create. And you're like, yeah. So if we can ask the questions that elicit positive responses, now we're going to narrow them down further and further. Next up, relate. Okay? No matter what they share, your job is now to relate with it personally. Okay? No matter what they share. When you get a positive elicitation, now you're going to share a personal story or connection with that very thing. Even if it's not the thing necessarily the outcome that you want, or it's not related, your job is when you get someone sharing something positive about something, you share a personal story. So if someone says, I guess people like that Tesla because, it looks pretty sleek and modern. I'm now going to validate that with a story. I'm saying, you know what, that's funny you say that. Because the other day, I was driving down the street, and I was in my whatever car, but I saw this Tesla, and I saw this other car. But I noticed the car next to me, the person wasn't looking in front of them at that car, they were looking over the Tesla. Is there something about it must grab their eye? I just noticed that there's something about it must grab their eye. That's it. I was in the store, I just told them a story. Metaphor, there it was. I'm going to relate with that. That's all. Okay? So your job is, how can what they share, no matter what it is, if it's positive, don't share with the negative. Too many people do that. Look, we're in a performance situation, not a lunch with the girlfriends. At lunch with the girlfriends, when someone complains or says something, we want to, oh, me too, oh, and it devolves in this negative story. That you can't do that in persuasion, right? We need to go upwards. So you need to find and pick, ask the questions to elicit the positive things, as many as you can, and then find one of those to grab onto and share personal observation, a personal story, something that meant something to you. Because people will bond with that, and then they'll start thinking about their own personal stories, and they'll validate it within as well. Make sense? Okay, cool. Now we have the turn. Okay, if you think this is advanced in any way, cool. I hope you're enjoying the course. Okay, but this one now gets really advanced. And for those who feel like there's an element of control, of direction in persuasion that you don't like, you're really going to hate me for this one. So you have to put some smiley faces on there. You try to do your best because you're going to hate this one. But it's true. I didn't invent these things. I'm observing them from my research and my life. And I wish I could say that this one doesn't happen. But it does. And the better it happens, the better the performance outcome, even if it seems manipulative. And I'll share that up front because when I started observing it and I saw master salespeople, and I interviewed some major influential negotiation trainers about this, it's always like this turn. It's like it's a little bit edgy, right? So please, for those of you who started this session thinking I'm a bastard, please take note because I'm probably going to confirm it right here. And for those of you who don't think that, but you're concerned, this is the part to be concerned about. And for those who are thinking responsibly right now that we have to be more careful about how we persuade others, I'm on your team. I think that this is utilized in very negative ways. And as I said at the beginning, this can all be used for good or ill. I can't control that. What I can do is please ask you to use these tools responsibly to make positive differences in your life and your family's life and your community's life and the greater world's life. We need thoughtful, conscious leaders right now. And when we lack those, things get bad in the culture. And I really believe that too many people misutilize this one to create an edge and to create what they think is a movement, but really it's not. And so with all of that warm-up and the smiley faces, this is the turn in the conversation. Observe, question, relate, and now we're going to make the turn, okay? And the turn comes with flipping the conversation to ego, okay? I told you wouldn't like this one. I mean, you say ego to people and they go, ah, right? No one wants to think we have an ego. Everyone has an ego. We all care about ourselves. At some level, everybody is, a junior varsity narcissist. We all do see and perceive ourselves in important lights, and that's positive, right? There's lots of positive self-esteem that would only be possible if we saw ourselves in a positive light. But what we're going to do here in this conversation with this person is now we're going to flip to their ego, and we want to acknowledge them. We want to honor them. This is where, if you ever heard a master salesperson or a master persuader, they say things like, if you're in a conversation with them, and you don't know, maybe they're in a flow like this, and maybe they haven't gone in a flow like this. But here's how you know a master persuader. Listen to this, and you'll recognize it as soon as I say it. okay? Because all these things have phrases, right? But you'll know a master negotiator and persuader when you hear someone say something like this. Well, you already know things like this. Or they say, you know what, you're already so good at this already. You know, you could probably teach me more than I can teach you about this. That is ego inflation. That's what they're doing. They're flipping, you don't know it, they're flipping the conversation on you. And now, all of a sudden, when they're validating you or saying, you already know this, you're better than this, you know what, I'll share my ideas with you, but honestly, you're better than this than anybody else. Oh, I'm like, dude, do it to me. You're so good. I know it. Bring it on. They're flipping to the ego. They're making the turn. I know the close is coming down the pipeline. I'm like, let's get it. I love when I meet people like that. I'm like, don't you love being in the presence of mastery? You know a master when they flip to ego. I want you to learn to listen for it, right? Especially for those who feel like, if you feel like in your life, you've been easily manipulated a lot of times in your life, that is not anyone else's fault, okay? It was, and people hate when I say that. But look, 50 times a day, people try to manipulate me to get me to sponsor their brand, to endorse their thing. And I recognize that manipulation is just trying to control a situation in that regard. But I can always tell when I'm dealing with a pro who's done it before. It's the way that they'll stroke the ego. It's the way that they'll honor me or my team or the business. And as soon as they start doing that, go, here it comes. Just know, as soon as they stoke your ego, the request is coming pretty soon. So for me, I get excited about that. I'm like, ooh, I can't wait to hear what they want, because here it comes, right? I don't even deflect it anymore. I used to be like, oh no, don't say it. It's not true. I'm like, you know, I am awesome. What do you want? You know, it's so great. So I want you to, no, but you need to do that. But here's the deal. Remember I said good ways, bad ways, good, evil, listen please. You need to authentically acknowledge the person's strengths, skills, contributions from an authentic place. All of these conversations only work if you have a positive intention for that person and for yourself. How would you know if you had that? You'd know it if you did what I asked you to do earlier. You did the homework to think of what is it that they want to think, feel, do, have, and experience. See, if you're not thinking about the other person and what's going to benefit them, if we don't do these two things first, then you're just going to be an ingratiating bastard. That's it. You're just one of those people who blow smoke up people's butt to hopefully get what you want. And like I said, can be used for good or positive. Those of us who use it for the positive, we think of a way to authentically acknowledge the other person, because guess what? They usually don't hear it. Remember, the number one reason people quit jobs, they don't feel appreciation from those who are leading them. It's the number one reason people leave jobs. So most people aren't thanked. Most people don't feel engaged. Most people don't feel recognized. And when they don't feel thanked, recognized, rewarded, appreciated, guess what? You come along and you're genuine and you want to see them experience things better, feel things better. When you're trying to get Johnny to do math, that's not manipulating, because you know that if he'll do better at that and he does better at school, better outcomes happen in his life, and you can prove it in science over and over and over again. You track a kid who has a better education, they do better in life, better life outcomes. They live longer, they're happier, they earn more, they get married, they stay married more. All good things come from education. We know that. Now, it doesn't mean all education is good. I'm just saying the more educated person tends to do better. And as we know that, we have to acknowledge the fact that, you know what, a lot of people who would say, well, Brendon, flipping the ego is negative. I'm like, you know what? If I honor and I respect my child's intelligence and strengths, don't you dare tell me I'm being manipulative. And I want you to think the same thing for yourself. Don't get stuck into, well, this is just manipulation, because if you do that, you're losing the tools that can make the difference in the people's lives who you care about. These are all just tools. They can be used positive or negative. And every time I go to this one, people get stuck. And I say, but if look, you already know if you're a bastard or not, so I'm not going to make you any more of a bastard by giving you a tool. But you also know if you're ineffective. And if you're ineffective, sometimes you need new tools. And one of the new tools is learning how to honor somebody. And if that sounds like complex, I'm not making it complex. Go read Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. If you've never read it, read it. It's not manipulative to want people to believe in you, to support you, so that you can help them live a better quality of life. Make sense? So use this, be genuine, have positive intention for other people. They'll feel it, they'll sense it, and they'll know that this isn't BS from you, but rather this is a genuine intention to help. Okay, now the flip, here's what goes on. Now we're going to make our suggestions, okay? Suggestions. Now, when we flip to ego, there's two ways to flip to ego to come into suggestion. One, we honor them, like I've been talking about. We recognize their strength, we appreciate them. But another one is whatever they shared with us up here, that positive elicitation we got earlier, we related with it, then we flip it back to them and say, you know what, if you had to be in one of those two cars, I bet you'd want to be in that Tesla. And they're like, remember the framing of it is, someone over here watching these two cars, paying attention to this one, not that one. I bet you'd want to be in that one. That's a flip to ego, too. And that's pretty direct. They're like, well, yeah. I said, well, would you ever be open to getting that car like that? Maybe we should get a car like that. Maybe we should consider it. Maybe we should take a test drive. All that maybe, or we should do this, or what do you think about that, but making the suggestion, that comes after we've been in their head about the very thing. Does that make sense? So you really have to think that through. How can you acknowledge them or put them in a place, leveraging some of the tools I told you earlier, thinking about their ego, what makes them feel fulfilled, what is it that they feel like, oh, I'll be in charge of that, I'll do a good job there, benefit extension for other people, awesome. I better do this now, awesome. All these things that we talked about earlier, remember these triggers are flowing throughout this conversation. But our suggestions now, this is where we're going to start moving towards our outcomes and our offers. All right, remember, what do you want them to think? That's tied to the suggestion. What do you want them to feel? That's tied to the suggestion. What do you want them to do? That's the suggestion, right? It's all right there. So it's all coming after we have made them feel important or special, acknowledged, appreciated. And remember, it doesn't feel inauthentic because it came from us relating first, then to them. If we went to ego up here, it wouldn't work. If we went to ego here, it wouldn't work. If we went here, no. This is why I'm suggesting. Open the gate, ask questions, elicit things, find the positive, relate with it, flip it back to them saying, wouldn't you like something like that? Or do you think that's good? Or, hey, you're so good at that already. Or, hey, you've done things like this before. Or, you know what, you're so observant. Even if the ego is, you know what, you're really observant about that. And they're like, I am observant about that. Now you can move on to the suggestion, well, what do you think about this? Should we do that? What do you think about trying that? What if you did this? It's the suggestion. Once you make that suggestion, then you need to verify with them whether or not they really connected with it. In negotiation, you've heard this before, this is where you get people saying yes, where it's like, oh, so you would like to take a test drive? Yeah, I'd like to take a test drive. Oh, so you do want to try your homework tonight, honey? Yeah, I want to take my homework tonight. Oh, so you guys do want to try this marketing effort? Yeah, I do want to do it. So you made the suggestion, asked what they thought about it, and now you verify it, right? And you ask them the yes or no question, right? Or the yes or no questions. So this is important to you, right? Yes. You'd like to try that? Yes. You think it'd work out well if we tried that? Yes. That's those yeses that are going to get people to go, I'm on path with you here. This is good. Okay, I like this idea. I like where we're going. And then your job from there is easy. The close. That means get the commitment, get the action, whether that's, great, do you want to go test drive on Saturday? Should I set it up? Yep, that's the close. Got it. Follow? So all of this can happen. The close, here's what most people think persuasion is. This. And that's why they suck. My job is to tell you, this happens by itself if you did this well, right? So now the close in that conversation can be as simple and straightforward as do this now, should we, right now, when? Often I tell people, a real close is just scheduling. A real close is just scheduling. It means, when I say click that button down below in a sales video, right? At that point, it's just like, hey, do this so I can see you on those times so we can get started in the course on Monday, right? It's really about the Monday thing, not about the button, right? Same thing in the world of getting somebody to close. If you're trying to get them to, support something or believe in something or buy something, your job is always, the close is really not the what. So many people think it's just the what. Click the button, show up there, do this, don't do that. When I go, the bigger question is when. What's the win on the other side? W-E-H-E-N, not W-I-N. Like when, as a period of time. After they click that button, when do they start the training? They want to go test drive the car. When do we do it? They want to do the homework. When will that happen? All of that, that's really the close. Close is a timing thing, not a verification or agreement thing. The verification agreement happened already. The close is getting that action scheduled or to happen now. That's what it's about. A close is about a timing thing, not about the sale. And people confuse that all the time. And I think that's why it's such a struggle. They only think of that. So I know if that sounds a little bit advanced, ask me questions, okay? Ask me questions on it, because I know there's a delicacy to this. As I said earlier, you can't always structure it like this, because they're going to go all over the place in their conversation, what they want. They're going to share their hopes and dreams, and they're going to try to persuade you. But what I always try to do in those situations is I always try to come back to this flow in my mind. I'm always like, okay, I need to get back into this. And if I can get back into this, I know I can lead to that final close, which is where I get the agreement on that offer and when they're going to do it. Agreement on the offer, when they're going to do it. Now, some people say, well, Brendon, I'm in a place where my close doesn't really happen there. They need to make the decision later, and that's what I'm going to come back to now. Or let's say you tried the close and they say no. Okay? If they say no, guess what you do? Go like this. As soon as someone says no, I want you to do this. Start over. So you're saying no to this, and I can tell from your, the way you said it, it's just not resonating with it. What are you seeing instead? I see you're like this. What are you seeing instead? Oh, see this? What are you seeing? I'm going to open that loop right again. And I'm just going to keep going around and around and around until I get there. And some people say, well, Brendon, this is very one-sided. And please, let me remind you, this could be right here. You asking questions, this could be, this essentially is the Socratic method right there, right? This could be 80% of the conversation before we move through here. You could ask lots of questions. So for those who are like, Brendon, persuasion is really asking about questions. I'm like, it's on the chart, dude. I can't help it that the 3M friggin' company makes all the note cards the same size when they sell them to me, okay? It's what I had to work with today. Thanks so much. I'm just saying, I can't tell you which one's going to be more important. I don't know where you're going to go. My job isn't to do that. My job is to give you the framework and the concepts. But I can share, if you go through this, if they say no, just come right back through. Say no, come right back through. Say no, come right back through. Over and over and over and over again, as long as they will stay there and not run away from you. Keep going through the loop. Okay, with that, I know you guys want me to move on to this next section about posting it, but make sure you post any questions down below. And I'll do, what do you do post-conversation? Whether you got it or you didn't get it, I'm going to share with you how to follow up in this next section. Okay, now let's talk about what to do after the persuasion situation. Okay? After the persuasion situation, this is where a lot of people mess up. They get the yes, they don't follow up, or get the no, and they quit. Here's what to do. If you want something, do not quit. If you want something and someone says yes, you need to close that thing down, dot that I, cross that T, get the signature, get the buy. Like, don't give up. So many people in my space who, they're trying to be thought leaders as an example. What they do is they say, well, Brendon, I sent my people to the sales video once and they didn't buy. They must not want it. I better go create another product. I'm like, how many times do they see the offer? Once? This whole conversation might happen in your, if you're trying to persuade someone in your marriage, this might happen on Monday night, then again on Friday night, then again the next Tuesday night, right? Don't think everything has to be buttoned up in one sales situation at a time or one persuasion situation. It's not true. You know, when I go to offer my courses online or my seminar tickets online or something I'm doing online, often we'll drive people back to that same page multiple times so they can see it and we can change the conversation in the email. Because if we don't do that, then, almost nobody buys the first time. I mean, did you ever buy a car and go back to the lot twice before you bought the car? Did you drive by, look at it, drive by again, look at it, drive by, get in the car, test drive it, think about it, leave, come back, think about it, then negotiate? I mean, lots of things are negotiated over multiple times. My mom will drive halfway across town to check out the price at another store on an item before buying any other. Now, I would never do that because I'm thinking what a terrible use of gas and time, but that's my mom. I'm sure many of you guys will do that too. How many of you drive across town to see if you can get the gallon of milk for 10 cents cheaper over there? But you know what? It costs that much in your time and you're driving around. Yeah, the guys are over here shaking. I know somebody like that, you know what I'm saying? Okay, now I gotta move on. What do? They said yes or they said no. Either way, don't quit. Either way, don't quit. Follow up. Okay, let's talk about some ways to follow up. Let's say you've done a negotiation. Okay, big negotiation on a big deal. You've been working on it for a long time. At the end, it seemed like it was a yes. Like you felt like it was a yes, but you don't have the signature yet, and now you got to send them the DocuSign document, or you got to send them the PDF to sign, or you got to call and get the next level of approval or whatever. Here's the thing to do after these negotiations, okay? Number one thing, very first, you need to write an email or be able to do this on the call, what we call 4-sentence win. And that is, in 4 sentences, so you say, hey, Mary, thanks for the meeting, okay? I won't count that, that's the introduction. Hey, Mary, thanks for the meeting. Now I have 4 sentences to make my case to seal the deal of why she should do what I'm suggesting. Make sense? It's 4 sentences. If I've sent you through online, if I've sent someone to a sales video, when I think about the follow-up email, if they didn't buy, I know in my mind, in the first 4 sentences, I need to make the case again why they should go back, watch the thing, and buy. Or go and watch the next thing. You only got 4 sentences, right? You've already had the conversation or made the offer if you're in sales, right? Now, the next communication, you don't get the big wind-up no more. You got to go right for it. Think about this. If you had to make the case in front of a judge, and the judge said, you have 4 sentences to persuade me, that's what you have to do in your follow-up. Even if they already said yes. Do you know where most negotiations are lost? After the people left the table. After the people left the table. Everyone's like, sounds good. I like that idea. Oh, send me the contract. And then the people, they forget. You got to make the case again, but you got to be succinct. These have to be this sweetness of the offer and why you kind of tied together. Okay, it's got to be right there. Next, after that, then you got to have the deadline. It's so important. Need this document back by 10 a.m. Wednesday. Always be specific. Listen, deadlines have dates and times. Could you get back to me next week? Could we go to Mars next week? Sure. Don't be the person who doesn't close that thing off. To close it off, it's a date and it is a time. And if you don't say the date and the time, you're junior varsity and you're always going to be stuck on the small team. Okay? We want you to rise up to that mastery level. Like pro team, date, time. With every offer, even if it's with the kids, trying to teach them to do the homework, date, time on that homework. If you don't do that, people, have conditioned themselves and trained themselves for years and years and years and years to wait until the last possible minute. Isn't it true? How many reminders did you have to get to go clean your teeth from your dentist? Right? I get texts all the time. All the time, texts. Brendon, time to come in for your cleaning. I probably got 40 texts from my dentist in Alaska. Time to come in for your cleaning. Sorry about that, but but all the time, Brendon, time to come. That's not a deadline. Brendon, we're completely full this week and next week. You have to come in on Wednesday between 2 and 3, or I won't be able to see you for months. See ya Wednesday 2 to 3. Like, if you don't get the deadline, you don't get the sale. Same thing in the conversations with your spouse. Look, even in the Tesla thing, if I don't make a deadline for it, someone can agree, yeah, we'll go ride a Tesla. If I don't get that date and that time, I lost. I didn't really get the close at all, right? The follow-up deadline is important, okay? Next up, we're going to drop in the surprise, right? People love novelty, remember? You know the best time to surprise somebody? Right at the end of the deal. Now, everyone will say, oh, no, don't do that. I'm talking about the good surprise. This is like at the very end, offer something that they didn't know was coming, that is sometimes worth the value of whatever else you're selling, or worth the value of whatever else you're doing. Like, look, if you've got your kid nodding, I'm going to do the homework, yep, I'll get it done by tomorrow at 7 o'clock, and they've already agreed to it, they've already got the head nod, they're already in the game, then throw in, awesome. You know what, after you're done with that, let's go out and get an ice cream. I didn't know that was coming. How nice is that? You threw it in after they agreed, or after they already wanted it, or after they were already ready to buy. You were just generous. You say, you know what? You're so awesome. Flipping the ego. You're so awesome. I appreciate what you're doing so much. You know what? Can I just give you this too? What? Yeah, as I've been thinking about it, I think this will also help you. Wow. So if you've ever seen me in a lot of my programs or materials, when I go to sell something, I'll often go, almost as a surprise, you know what, I think this would help you too. And I'm really strategic about that. And sometimes it's true, I'm making up on the fly, but a lot of times, probably the other half of the time, I'm like, I think I should give this away, or I should do this too. And when I do that, say for example, today's decision to give you guys this recording when you're in High Performance Monthly. I'm not sure I was as strategic as I should have been about that, so sorry team. But everybody else, you get something cool when you sign up for High Performance Monthly today. That's just, I'm like, you're already here, we're already working through something. That's adding bonus for those who are live. Okay, now, what else? After you've added in surprise bonus, check this out. Reveal the opportunity cost. This is a bold move, but it is, I would say, it's better than not doing it. And this bold move is this. If at the end of this email, as an example, if I'm trying to get them to do something, I'll say, please make sure you do it by Wednesday at 3, because unfortunately, if it's not done by then, I'm going to have to move on. We've got a lot of other people interested in this condo. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to move on. We've got a lot of other people asking to drive this car. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to move on because other people have been asking for the same thing. Unfortunately, we'll have to move on because we have to start the class. Unfortunately, I've got to move on because, you know, other people smell less bad than you. I'm just making sure they're paying attention right now. Okay, but you got to reveal what's the opportunity, what's the reason you're going to have to move on if they don't do what you say. It's not the ultimatum, it's that it's opportunity cost. There is an opportunity cost for you to continue spending time, attention, energy, and effort trying to get somebody to do something, right? With the kid, if they're not doing it, you say, you know what, I've tried, and tell you what, if you don't have it done by Wednesday at 7, I don't feel like I can try anymore, so I'm gonna have to get your dad involved. Oh, don't get dad involved. And now I'm getting it done at home, right? You gotta get somebody, what's the opportunity cost? You can't spend no more time there, right? It's not an ultimatum, it's just like, it's like, I gotta give up and move on because I can be more helpful over here, more people are interested over here, there's other things I could be doing over here. I do that in big negotiations all the time. I say, you know what, if we can't agree to this right now, I'm just gonna have to move on because there's other people offering things just as good or better. I'm trying to do this because we have a unique relationship, but I honestly have to be responsible for my brand too, so I'm gonna make the decision this week. You know how many deals that has closed for me? Just like that. So I hope you wrote that down. If you didn't and you want the recording, remember it's in High Performance Monthly. Reveal opportunity cost. Last one, sell anticipation at the end of this email. Now remember, this could be a conversation or it could be an email, but I'm going to hit all of these in that post follow-up. And then that post follow-up, I'm going to sell anticipation. And that is selling the future. That might be as simple in an email, be like, just assume the sale. Look forward to starting working with you on Monday. You're really going to love this. That's ending with selling anticipation. We're going to start working and you're going to love it, okay? It might be at the end of a follow-up video. You might just say that, look, when you click the button down below and you begin the program, you're going to find that you really start to change and get some momentum. You're going to feel great and prideful that you finally did this thing. And that gets them going, So you got to find that way for you to sell anticipation towards the very end when you're trying to seal that deal. Does it make sense? Okay. So I hope that you find all this useful. I want to remind you throughout all of this, any given parts of this, those other big concepts I shared with you, whether it's novelty, or whether it's popularity, or whether it's pride, or whether it's utility, or whether it's their sense of fulfillment, extending the benefit, all that scarcity, all those topics we talked about, these parts of it can be anywhere in this. Right? These are always mental triggers that can be applied or not applied, but you got to be aware of them. Now, for those who are like, this is so friggin' complicated, here's all I'm asking you to do. Think in advance. Be more thoughtful and strategic in the conversation you have, and follow up better. That's all. To learn to do that, it's just like tying your shoe or riding your bike. You're going to have to do it multiple times. That's all. It's like after you do it multiple times, you get better at it, your competency grows. That's all. You're just going to have to keep trying. I've just done this for so many times, through so many years, it's kind of natural to me now and instinctual. But what's not natural and instinctual is this part. I have to think through all of this. I spend a tremendous amount of time thinking through stuff. Many of you guys know, if you're in my high performance programs, in the morning, I spend 20 minutes just thinking about my day. That's it. That's walking through the day, visualizing it, thinking through what has to happen, what doesn't have to happen, clearing things out. Literally 20 minutes just thinking about every day. That's why my days are more effective than a lot of other people, because I've thought through it already. And I also, by thinking through my day, I have found the spots that might have wiggle room. Like, I might have a full calendar, but I know I got 30 minutes right there to go over to my favorite breakfast place with my main man, Travis Shields. I know where my built-in spots are, right? I know when we can screw off a little bit because I've already thought through where the holes and where the freedom are versus all the things I have to get done. And so I think that's made me more effective in my productivity. Well, that was just a metaphor to tell you I do the same thing in persuasion. I'm more thoughtful here, and by being more thoughtful here, I got more play over here to be more persuasive. So I hope that this course has served you in thinking about persuasion in new ways, in novel ways, and challenging ways. I'm here to encourage you that if you've got something that you want from the world, you can ask the world for it. But I might also suggest, now you know how to ask better. If you got something you're trying to sell to the world, I'm here to say, go sell it. Now, sell it better. I'm here to say, if you want to lead other people and persuade other people to join your movement, your following, your cause, your mission, your company, then I'm here to say, do that. Do it better by being more thoughtful. And the greatest thing I ever learned in my life was that at the end, we really think about whether or not we lived and we loved and we mattered. But I would say the life lesson that I took away from that second chance was that when you have a second chance to do something again, the next time you do it, be more intentional, be more courageous, and be more appreciative. You've got that ability to do that. I mean, think about that. If that's all you got from this was this last part here, I'm looking at you and I'm saying, look, next time you try to persuade your child to do better at school, or your husband to reconnect with you, or your team to get on board, or those investors to buy from you, or invest in you, to get somebody to believe in you again, I'm here to say, there is a second chance. Go do it better. When you do it with them in this way and it doesn't go well, you got another second chance here. Just keep at it. Lots of people quit on their ideas and their dreams and their businesses and their causes because they say, I'm no good at persuading people. People don't like me. I'm not natural in that way. No one listens to me. And I say, no. People will listen to you, but you have to sound right. You know what I mean? And what sounding right means is sounding thoughtful, sounding clear, sounding participatory, sounding like you care about them, sounding like this needs to happen. That's what it means. So if you've tried a dream before and you've given up before it, maybe you just didn't know how to persuade people to get bought into that dream. And this very course could help you think that and revisit that. I'm here to share with you too that right now we need inspiring leaders. We need people who engage in dialogue. We need people who are open. We need people who are thoughtful. We need people who right now are able to move the needle towards progress in the world again. But they can't do it by threatening people, and they can't do it by fear-mongering. They're going to have to be part of a broader persuasive conversation that's intelligent and informed, that is helpful to other people. And I want you to feel that as a mission for you, right? The more effective you become at persuading people, the more you're probably going to help improve the world. I really believe that. It's the people who bumble along and don't know how to persuade and are fighting and leading through fear, that's hurting all of us. But when we figure out persuasion and the way to do that, that it really does have good, positive intentions and outcomes for other people, and yet it still does move the needle forward to resolution, getting things done, then we're going to have a much better world. So I encourage you, watch this persuasion training again. Fill out the worksheets, do the homework, think through this more, and you'll be more effective next time. And if next time you do it, it feels like kind of a hot mess, well, that's because it's the first time you did it, okay? You were no good in bed the first time either. Well, I actually don't know that. I'm just saying, sometimes you got to do a few things a few times, and then you find your rhythm. That's all I'm trying to say. I don't know why that metaphor came in, but, sometimes you got to address those objections with the killer metaphors, and no metaphor is more killer than sex. I hope you've enjoyed this Persuasion Masterclass. I love teaching you, being here with you. Until we see you in our next course, go out there every single day of your life, live fully, love openly, persuade with passion, and make your difference today.